Hello again, Chris Lee of Southeastern 16, joined by my co-hosts Blake Lovell and Max Barr. We're doing an early evening SEC basketball reaction to react to a couple of games that have concluded not long ago. Florida has just now wrapped up a win at Arkansas. Missouri stays unbeaten at home this season with a win over Vanderbilt. Max Barr, start us off. Where would you like to go here?
Let's start right off with the one that just ended, Florida 71, Arkansas 63. That was a football game in the paint for the first half. I mean, just an absolute battle for every single rebound. Florida, obviously, winning the most of those battles. But the first half, what stood out to me was the insane physicality of that game. I mean, the thing about Florida is they start with Ruben and Alex on the floor, and then right when everyone gets a little bit tired, they bring in Tommy, and it's like he might be their best offensive rebounder. Condon with an incredible second half. I really just thought the physicality was what won them this game. You could see it there at the end there with Arkansas. The bigs just gassed. I mean, they had just been doing the Oklahoma drill for the past 35 minutes. Offensively, yikes for the Razorbacks. I don't really have another word other than yikes. And Blake, I feel like
I do.
Okay, go take the floor.
I got plenty of words for the offense. Here's the deal, okay? I've said, you don't realize that when you cannot shoot the ball, it just completely changes everything. Like if you don't have a team that can knock down shots from the perimeter, the other team is sitting there keeping it very simple in terms of how they think they have to guard you. And yes, Boogie Flan's going to do a step back from 28 feet and knock them down sometimes. Like he's just that good. But when I look at everything else here, the numbers do not lie. And I think that's what it comes down to with this team, right? And it's deeper than numbers. But I think if you're just looking at this from a standpoint of why are they 0-3, there are multiple reasons. But here's the deal. They went 3 of 16 from 3 in this game. And you guys know, go back to the previews. I've brought it up multiple times. Now this is their 5th loss on the season. The one thing every single one of these losses has in common is that they just simply have not been able to shoot the ball. 5 of 20 against Baylor, 5 of 17 against Illinois, 6 of 29 against Tennessee, 5 of 23 against Ole Miss, and now 3 of 18 against Florida. Arkansas is now shooting less than 20% from 3 in 3 conference games. Like, that is bad. I mean, it's bad. And so that is one element of it. And if you combine that with the element of I just don't see the chemistry and I just don't see the offensive evolution, those things just, it's not going to work, right? And we're seeing that at 0-3. That's why it's not working. Now, we say that about Arkansas because I know everyone wants to talk about the Hogs. We got a lot of Arkansas fans that always come in here. But at the same time, we got to talk about the Gators because Florida, everyone's ready to jump off the bandwagon after the Kentucky loss on the road. Everybody's saying Florida's overrated, blah, 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 all this other stuff. Well, Gators came out, won by 30, just won on the road against Arkansas, right? I still look at the makeup of this Florida team, and I think Florida fans should have every reason to be optimistic about the path forward because my guy, Alex Condon, 12 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks. The guy did it all again in this game. Made that big 3 late, too. And I think that's what I keep seeing with Florida is they have so many different guys who are stepping up. And, you know, whether it's Condon, whether it's Martin, whether it's Clayton, like it's just Richard, just keep going down the line, right? Thought Tommy Haugh had a great game here. Very physical, as you mentioned, Max. So, yeah, I mean, Florida did not play their best basketball in this game. But the fact is, when you have the other team who shot 30% from the floor, 18.8% from 3, and also missed 11 free throws, it's a recipe for success for the Gators.
Clayton goes, 4 of 15 today? But here's the thing. I was concerned about Florida's bench coming into the year. And I still am a little concerned if they get somebody hurt somewhere just on sheer numbers. But is anybody playing better right now anywhere? Like from the 7th and 8th spots on the team than guys? I mean, they're getting stuff from Aberdeen. They got something from Sam Alexis today. I mean, I'm just super impressed on how Todd Golden is getting something out of all 8 of those guys who play regular minutes.
Yeah, if you keep up with the Florida Basketball Hour, they have been screaming from the rooftops probably the past, over 12 months, probably close to midway through last season, about the development of Aberdeen and how much the staff has put into him. And that's paying off now. Him able to come off. And how many times did Jimmy Dykes say the Florida pressure release is just dump it down to the bigs? And just how many possessions did they just throw it in there, just try to get up a shot on the rim, have Chinyelu or have Tommy go and try to battle for an offensive rebound? I mean, they had 16 offensive rebounds. This is a team that can rebound pretty much right there with Texas A&M. Like it's a percentage difference that really you're not going to be able to tell. Florida's offensive rebounding is just incredible right now.
Yeah,
49 to 39 today.
Yeah, I mean that's been one of the differences, and I think we may have talked about that in the preview. Was just that you knew Florida was going to get extra opportunities, and that puts pressure on Arkansas too. Because if they're not clicking on all cylinders offensively, and you're giving the other team, who's a top 5 offensive team in the country, extra opportunities, that's not a good combination. And so it's kind of what happened here. I think that's the thing. If you're a Florida fan, you're thrilled because you're like, we didn't even play anywhere close to our best game. And we knew it'd be a tough spot on the road against a desperate Arkansas team coming off a huge 30-point win against the number 1 team in the country. Typical letdown type spot. But you didn't play your best game. You did some things uncharacteristically. Like, again, they missed some free throws. They didn't shoot it that well. Still walk out with an 8-point road win in SEC play. You'll take that, right? And then I think the other thing here, and Max knows, I mean, I brought this up right before we hit the record button. I said, Max, as Kemi brings up here, I'm like, one of the other things is just so obvious, I think, with Arkansas right now. And I think, right, like it doesn't get talked about a lot because a lot of people, I think, are focused on the offensive aspect, which makes sense. I don't see the chemistry, like, on court. I mean, I said that. Like, I see, it's weird, but it's like individual chemistry, meaning like, okay, like this guy and this guy, all right, there's a little bit of chemistry there. They're pressuring on defense, all that. But then I'd see everybody else, like, are they on the same page? Like the communication, those kind of things, you know? Like those are the little things that coaches always talk about. I just don't see that consistently with this team. And so, you know, it's that, I don't know what it said, Max. It's like that. It was that individual versus team energy, you know? Yeah. It's just, you don't see that like consistently. Now it's easy to say, well, maybe that's because they're just not playing well. And so it's hard to get that kind of energy consistently, but I mean, it's tough, man. So I think this is a great point here because I think it's more than just the offensive stuff. Like it is just, I don't see them gelling the way that, you know, we may have thought they would, but you know what? As we always say too, it's the transfer portal era. You never know. And so far, man, it's been up and down for the Hogs. And now they're 0-3. Florida moves to 2-1 in SEC play. Florida, nice spot. You know why? Because now they get back-to-back home games next week. 3 of their next 4 at home for the Gators. They get Missouri and Texas at home next week. They'll be favorites in both of those games. And then for Arkansas, we talked about it. What happens when you get to 0-3 and then you got back-to-back road games? That's the situation they're sitting in right now. At LSU, who, by the way, looking pretty good early on against Ole Miss on the road. And then they got to go to Missouri, who we're going to talk about in just a minute, who just came off a very important win over Vanderbilt. So desperate is this Arkansas team right now to try to find a win, because if you don't, quite honestly, if you don't win both games next week, I mean, it's rough looking still with, remember, games, they've still got a road game at Kentucky. They still got to go to Texas, home game Alabama, still got to go to A&M, still got to go to Auburn, still got home games Mississippi State. Like, brutal. So,
Blake, there were 2 possessions
Blake,
on
you
offense.
said what I was...
Sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just to back up Blake's point about the chemistry, while he was talking, there was 2 possessions that came into my head, and they were kind of the same thing. There was one where there was it was actually offense was being ran. There was a play. There was a few pin downs, and it's like the passes would just be like a very lazy pass trying to lead them, and it would take like a double bounce. There was the one where Big Z was on the top of the key and just throws it away. It was complete mishap. There was one where Aidoo kind of picks and pops, and it takes a double bounce to get to him. It was just like any time they actually tried to get something where it's like, you need to execute here, pass it, boom, boom, boom. It looked all over the place. I was just backing up your point there with a few examples.
Great stat here, too, from Nobody's he brought up. I think they said it on the broadcast at the end. Cal 0-3 now in conference play for the first time since his first year at UMass, I think it was, right? So, yeah.
Wow.
Blake, one thing on each team. You said kind of what I was thinking. I don't think Florida loses again until sometime in February. And for Arkansas, where's this team without Adou Thiero? Because he is the only thing that really just scares me consistently night in and night out for them right now.
I thought Aidoo played good. I think
Boogie Flan's there too, though. I don't.
That's true. That's fair. Yeah,
I think without Boogie Flan, their offense is completely non-existent. Like, give Thiero all the credit, but like Boogie Flan's a guy handling the ball, and he's trying. And he's a freshman though, right? And I think Jimmy Dykes brought that up on the thing too. Like the same thing we've said. Look how many great freshmen there are in that league, but it's tough to just put that on a guy and say, hey, fix this, right? And you can see it. Like, again, this game, I thought he tried. I mean, he was doing a couple, like I said, step backs, having to take long threes, but doing something. So, yeah.
Real quick before we move on from this game, the Bart Torvik has updated their analytics after this final. Arkansas now has a 34.3% chance at a bid. So, a lot of work.
Ooh, wow. That is, but yeah, like I mentioned, look at their schedule, right? Look at those games that are left. I mean, this is kind of at that point where let's look and see if KenPom's updated it yet. Probably not.
They're on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I mean, because if their projected record in SEC play before this game was 7-11, I don't think that's going to change because they were projected to lose this one maybe, but it might. Because some of those projected wins are against like Georgia at home, Oklahoma at home, Missouri at home. I don't know about that one right now. Texas at home. I mean, even South Carolina on the road, right? It's like, look what we saw from South Carolina today. I mean, there are no gimmies, and I think that's the thing, right? And that's what we said. You can't be. We're talking about just beyond Arkansas. You can't be a team that puts yourself in an 0-3 hole in this league because it's just so hard to make up ground, especially when you put yourself in an 0-3 hole, and two of those have been home games. So, that's a challenge for sure. So, all right, let's get to a couple things in the chat real quick before we talk a little bit about Missouri Vanderbilt. And you guys keep it coming. We can always circle back around to this. And keep in mind too, everyone, we're doing the primetime show tonight, as always, on Saturday night. So we'll come back to this game. We'll add some additional thoughts and all that as it sits in for a little while. That should be around 9 or 9:30 Central Time tonight. We're going to be doing that close to the end or right after Kentucky Mississippi State. And to tell you as well, we'll probably be tying in this 5 o'clock Central slate too into that rather than giving you an additional stream just because scheduling-wise is kind of a weird schedule today. So
weird day.
So we'll be tying those in. We did some individual streams here, did one for Auburn, South Carolina, doing it for these two games, but we'll probably have kind of a fiver going on a little bit later on in the primetime show. So just keep that in mind if you're a Tennessee fan, Georgia fan, and so forth with these games in progress right now. So, all right, quickly to the chat. I don't know if we brought this up earlier, but Christian saying favorite Florida team since 16-17. Go Gators. Yep, doing well. Tony, our guy Tony, thanking us for all that we do here. Also left a super chat, $9.99. The SEC already at grind, 3 games in. Yes, it is for sure. No doubt about it. We appreciate Tony. Tony also helping us out a little bit, trying to help us find some sponsors here at Southeastern 16. We got the ones you already know, but what about the ones you don't already know about, huh? Those are in the works as well. So, Southeastern 16 Fiver. Should we? That's got to be it's got to be a new segment, right? I don't know what we do with that, but we'll do something with it. We count down like our top 5 somethings, just random things on Earth. Top 5 cereals, top 5. I don't know, just whatever. Heating and cooling services. Chad L. McCluskey tops my list. But there you go. So What did Matt bring up about your mustache earlier, Max?
Oh, I was laughing at something.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The
Getting
tingles.
extremely scores to Mississippi State against Kentucky.
We're getting close.
I'm gonna be up. I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight after that one.
No chance. We might stream all night. All right, let's talk about Missouri getting. Hold on, real quickly before this, I want to miss this in the comments. Yeah, top 5 space heaters. All right, question here: who's on the kiss of death alert tonight? Which is going to tie into the Missouri Vanderbilt game as we get to in a second. We got top 5 favorite donuts from Skylar. We got all kinds of stuff going. You got to save these, everyone. Who did we put this on tonight? Georgia, it's on. Tennessee, It's on. Ole Miss, it's on. Which, if you look at the scoreboard, we might be, kind of doing that to some people right now. Did we all picked Mississippi State?
Mississippi State. That's it. Yeah, because we're split on A&M and Alabama.
Yeah, we're split on Alabama, A&M. Max and I picked Alabama. Chris picks A&M in that one.
I dropped another game against you guys. I went bold and picked the Razorbacks, and I'll never be doing that again ever.
Which is going to bring us to this next game, because sometimes you have to sacrifice for the greater good. And that's what I did in this next game. I picked the Vanderbilt Commodores. I told you the Missouri people were getting restless. They were not happy because the Southeastern 16 kiss of death was coming back in full steam here early in conference play. So I told them I'd take a loss for this one by picking the Commodores. Missouri, 75, Vanderbilt, 66. And, I mean, we talked about it. Like, I hope everyone realizes, like, I thought this was such an important game for both teams here, and whoever was able to notch this win. Keep in mind, too, Missouri's now won all 8 meetings all time in Columbia. I put that series stat out. It was 14-2 were the home teams in the series going into this game. Now 15-2 with Missouri getting the win. Even though early on they got off to a great start, I think you always knew Vanderbilt was going to make that run to make it interesting towards the end. And as Tyler says here, Missouri also likes to make it interesting, so combine those two things together. But yeah, like I thought it was a good win for Missouri, right? Because this was one where it's a home game. You got to find a way to get the win. You knew Vanderbilt was going to make that push. They did just that. There's a lot of things we can get to in this one, but you guys know I got to start off with the one that we've been tracking. We've been tracking it all season. My guy, Tyler Tanner, has finally turned the ball over. Now, I will say, he turned it over, but it wasn't a traditional turnover, all right? So I tend to think the streak is still alive for Tyler Tanner. I don't count a charge as a turnover. Come on, that's not a traditional turnover. That's a foul. It's not a turnover. Come on. So I think the streak's still going, but Vanderbilt turns it over 14 times in this game. Missouri also turned it over 14 times, but a great win, I thought, for the Tigers here.
I should have checked before the game, but is that the first time Vanderbilt's had a negative A-to-TO ratio this year?
Gotta be, right?
As a team?
Gotta be.
I think they did Tuesday. Check that.
Oh, that may have been.
Yeah, one of the first games probably. I mean, forcing Vandy into a negative assist turnover ratio, pretty impressive. But you know where I'm going, guys. You know where I'm going. We had an incredible game, maybe the best game the committee has seen this year. Josh Gray plays 20 minutes, scores 0 points, racks up 11 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 assist, 3 turnovers. The committee, Josh Gray pretty much just printed himself on first team all bully ball with that performance right there.
I was going to ask if he catapulted to the top of the list, because I thought that was like about the vintage bully ball performance right there.
That's as good as it gets, folks. There's nothing better than a Josh Gray 0 point, 11 rebound game. I loved it.
Been better if he'd have played 8 minutes or something than 20. Sorry.
They needed him.
They did.
Oh, look at this. Forced 2 jump balls also. Yeah, that doesn't show up on the stat sheet.
That doesn't. Yeah. But can we track that? I'd like to track that.
Chris, what were your thoughts on the game?
I don't know how much.
In a serious note.
Well, I don't know how much you guys got to watch, but Mitchell was really good. Missouri. Yeah. Well, we're trying to split 2 games, and I had my more on that one. But Mitchell was really good. Like, first of all, Missouri never trailed. I don't know really why Gates went out of his zone. That worked so well in the first half, and I felt like second half when Vanderbilt made a run. And I have to go back and look. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like they got out of it, went back into it, and then when Vanderbilt almost caught them, I feel like that Missouri got some stops out of that. But I thought Caleb Grill was the guy today who was maybe the MVP. Not only, but it seemed like every time they needed something, he did it. I think it was a 2 or 3 point game. He called a backdoor pass and had a reverse layup. Hit a couple of hit 3 on maybe a phantom foul call, but they gave him 3 free throws. He hit the shots. It just felt like he was the guy today that every time Vanderbilt started to get some momentum would make a play. And the more that I watch him, the more I really appreciate them, and the more I understand why when he got hurt last year, it just sort of fell apart for them, because he's just indispensable. Like, I'll tell you what, if Arkansas can make a trade right now, not that Dennis Gates would give him up, put a Caleb Grill on Arkansas, and that's exactly what that team needs.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind, too, and we talk about the importance of this game for both teams. And that was because we talked about kind of the road ahead, and both have, I think, pretty rough schedules here over the next little bit. Missouri, now 2-1 in the league, has to go to Florida on Tuesday. They host Arkansas next Saturday. So, again, even though Arkansas struggled, that's a desperate Arkansas team right now, right? Go to Texas, who right now are giving the top 2 teams in the country fits this week with Tennessee and Auburn. So, I think that's certainly notable. And then, you keep going down the line, right? It's like they got road games at Mississippi State, at Tennessee, home games against A&M. Missouri doesn't have an easy slate either. The back half, maybe a little bit, like home against South Carolina at Vanderbilt. I don't know, maybe. But it's about to get rough for Missouri. But Vanderbilt, we said it, guys. Remember, if you guys weren't, I don't remember what stream it was. We've done 124 of these since last week. But we talked about Vanderbilt's schedule. Now they play South Carolina at home on Wednesday. If you want to talk about must-wins for a team in SEC play, we've reached must-win category. Vanderbilt has to win that game against South Carolina on Wednesday. South Carolina could say the same thing about themselves. After that, home against Tennessee, at Alabama, home against Kentucky, at Oklahoma, at Florida, home against Texas, home against Auburn, at Tennessee, at Kentucky. This is one of the toughest schedules I think I've ever seen. Home against Ole Miss, at Texas A&M, and then it's like the final 3 games, if you want to call those let-ups, home against Missouri, home against Arkansas, at Georgia. Brutal slate for the Commodores, who I think are pretty good. But I think this is where we talked about the grind of the SEC is going to catch some of these teams. Vanderbilt's about to hit a relentless stretch of games, and that's why I thought this was such an important win for Missouri, because they're going to have some equally tough games, starting with Tuesday's game at Florida. But at least grabbing this one at home, they've played to the formula so far. They've won their home games. And if they just keep doing that, right, that gets you to the number you need to be at to make the NCAA tournament. So, yeah, huge win for Missouri.
That could legitimately be 12 games in a row against SEC. Against NCAA tournament teams, starting with Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the toughest I've ever seen for Vanderbilt in this stretch. Yeah. So
I was going to say what kind of makes it a little bit even more impressive for Missouri is if you guys watched the preview, the prediction, Chris, the main thing you highlighted as pretty much your number one storyline into this game was the health of Jason Edwards. Jason Edwards goes out there, plays 31 minutes and puts up a 20-piece. Still not enough. So that's kind of another nugget in the win for Missouri.
Yeah, and I don't think they beat Mississippi State with him healthy, because I think that team's really, really good. But I think that game flows a lot different. Like he is clearly a piece that they don't have otherwise. Hoggard has done it in bits and pieces, but he was like 3 of 15 from the floor today. So I think that's the bright spot if you're Vanderbilt, is you got Edwards back, and like it looked the rest of the year until the injury at LSU.
Yeah. All right. What else we got to get to in the comments here? Shane. So he's excited about the move in the power rankings. Oh, my goodness. Oh,
Oh,
I'm
boy.
already just like, what do we do with these things on Monday?
Put a blindfold on and throw a bunch of darts at a dartboard.
Well,
You know, because
That's
we
what you
gotta
got.
factor in the Broom injury. We gotta factor in all kinds of stuff.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's
or
gonna be
do
brutal.
we? Do we just
I mean,
give Auburn what it's earned and see how it plays out with
well, hold on
Broom
a
going
second.
forward?
I didn't say we're moving him from number one. I'm just saying, hey, we do have to factor that in as we start to compile our rankings moving forward if he's out. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. You never know. One of us could get frisky and decide, you know what? I've seen enough. Put somebody else at one. But I don't think that's going to happen. But I'm just pointing out potential options here. So
We got
what else we got?
Big Baller Brett is wondering.
yeah.
He wants to know, after Mississippi State, after Kentucky, after the Tide, go and take on the Aggies. We'll be live. I don't
Yeah,
know exactly
listen,
what
so
time.
if Kentucky, Mississippi State, by some chance, is a blowout, which, spoiler alert, the last 4 meetings they've played in Starkville have been decided by 5 points or fewer, so I wouldn't expect a blowout tonight. But from that standpoint, we will probably go live a little bit earlier than when it's finished, but most likely we will wait till the end of that game, Kentucky, Mississippi State. So,
Quick note, SEC injury report updated. Andrew Carr is a game-time decision.
that was a little bit worrisome for me. So,
Whoa, what happened there?
it's a little worrisome. Undisclosed.
Game-time
Oh.
decision.
Undisclosed. So we can't diagnose an undisclosed injury. So yeah, I don't know what it is, but
Cam Matthews is just waiting.
mm,
He's just waiting.
we'll see.
Can't wait for that game. Absolutely cannot
All
wait
right.
for that game.
We're gonna give you guys 2 more minutes if you want to hop in with any more super chats, whatever. Second live stream of the day here. You know to expect this on Saturdays. As we said, because of the way the schedule falls today, we're going to wait and recap this round of games that are currently in progress. We're going to do that on the primetime show tonight. And, yeah, we will talk about the 2 big games tonight, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Alabama, Texas A&M. And we'll recap what we saw from Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss, LSU. And we'll also circle back around everything else that happened during the day in SEC basketball with more thoughts. Medal stand, I'm sure. And all sorts of stuff. So
EJ's wondering, do these teams
It's
get flu shot?
everywhere,
I
man.
mean, it's almost hit every SEC team at this point now. I saw a question about Tony Perkins. I'm not going to, right here. Yeah. Did you guys think Tony Perkins looks like, I also heard Tony had the flu. So,
it's everywhere.
yeah.
So, all right, listen, once again, folks, we try to tell you, this is not how Super Chats work, okay? You can't just put Super Chat in all caps and it be the same as an actual Super Chat. But Matt continues to break the rules here at Southeastern 16, as always. And he wants to know, on the way out here, who would win in a game of 21? Max, Chris, or Blake? I mean, this is an easy vote. I mean, we all know the answer to this, please.
You make your free throws in that game, you win.
Let's call it what it is, folks. I'd set the opening line at probably me minus 550. I would say Max plus 485. Chris
Don't even. Yeah.
plus 2,000. Yeah, plus 2,000. I like that.
At least.
Like that. So,
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Blake's free throw percentage is when he has a Deshane Montgomery trash talk right from the free
Listen,
throw line in his
to
ear
get
the
to
whole time.
21, okay, to get to 21, your 3-pointers and your free throws matter. There was nothing I've done better in the game of basketball ever than make 3-pointers and free throws. So my points are going to add up quicker, I think, than you two. So Max may be the bully ball guy.
Do you play the rule
Max
with the
the
tip?
bully ball.
Yes, we can do that. We'll do that rule. Yeah, take the points out if you. Yeah, I'm fine with
You
that.
tip him?
Well, if that's the case, we're going to put Chris at plus 4,800. So might move Max's odds up a little bit, mine down just a tad, but I still like.
The problem is after
Make it take it.
after
I like that too.
after maybe 90 seconds, the gas is ran out of the tank, and it gets sloppy pretty quick.
Listen, if you'd have put us three in a full court game, I'd have said you can't even place odds on that because I'm not sure I could do a full court game in any way, shape, or form right now. So
I'll take you guys in a 5K, and that's about it.
That's great. I hope you can. I have no desire to win that, so that's fine. Speaking of 5Ks, we do one every Saturday here at Southeastern 16. And if you want to run the 5K, it's going to be worth it because you know what you're going to get in the end. You're going to get Sanders Logistics tonight in SEC basketball prime time. So hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on your way out. We hope to see you guys back here tonight. Of course, to recap the rest of the action we see today. Two huge games tonight. Not to overlook the ones that are happening right now, but my goodness. Alabama A&M, Kentucky, Mississippi State. What dreams are made of. Those matchups here tonight. Meanwhile, we got some close games at half. Ole Miss starting to pull away from LSU. What a day of SEC basketball.
Can't wait for the wrap-up show tonight. Plenty more basketball to watch. Tennessee and Texas at the half. That's looking kind of interesting as I glance at my screen here and there. To watch that one, we'll have them all covered. Hit the subscribe button.
Fiverr.
And then enable your notifications. Fiverr. So that you know.
Bring your ideas for the Fiverr tonight. What are we going to do a top 5 on?
I don't know. That's Max Barr's task.
Top 5 internet providers.
Think about that for the next. Oh, man. Yeah. Somehow this one was relatively clean. I don't know what's going on.
It was better.
No problems at all for a year. And just the last 2 weeks have been awful.
Yep.
Anyway, say your prayers for my internet when we resume tonight. Hope you'll come join us. For Max Barr and Blake Lovell, I'm Chris Lee. God bless you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again tonight with more basketball content here at Southeastern 16.